Well, hello there everyone and welcome to the reboot of the Spigot coding series, this time in the Minecraft version 1.21.7 and above. So why I'm doing the reboot is pretty simple. The last time I did it was in 1.17 and during that time a lot of changes to Minecraft itself and the API has happened. And since I unfortunately have not uploaded that many episodes to begin with, so I just want to get a fresh start, restart from everything. Over the past few years that I have stopped uploading, I learned a lot of new things as well. So I want to go on with this reboot of the series with even more experience that I can use to teach you guys even better. So first of all, today we are going to set up the server on Linux this time instead of Windows. Setting up the server on Windows is pretty much the same. On Linux, you just have to do a few extra steps, but I'm going to go over this in just a second. So first of all, we have to choose our server executable. The main server executables known are Spigot. This is the main modding API in quotations we are going to use, and Paper. This is pretty much just a more performant version of Spigot with a lot new API implementations that is useful for us developers. I'm also going to briefly talk about something called LeafMC, which is new, but I'm going to get to this in just a second. So first of all, let's start off with Spigot. If you want a purely vanilla and SMP server, Spigot is my recommendation for you. Because Spigot does not really change that many, or even if any, aspects of the core vanilla game. So let's say if a friend of yours wants to build a villager iron farm, this might break in Paper or different forks of Spigot and or Paper. So if you want a purely SMP, definitely I would say head with Spigot. If you want something more performant but still true to the vanilla feel and vanilla systems, you can go with Paper. This is by far the most well-known server executable file you can find. And if you want raw performance, which I can vouch for since I'm using this on my SMP Games server as well, and one of the developers, being Tayo, is also in my SMP Games contributor team, I would highly recommend you to go with Leaf. Look at this, even just an update 7 minutes ago, and look at that. So Leaf implements a huge amount of performance increases and asynchronous systems. This changes vanilla a lot though, so expect, if you want to host a SMP server, that a lot of known usable systems might not work using LeafMC. So to download LeafMC, the server jar I'm going to use now, we just have to go to releases and then download the version you want to use. So right now they only have 1.21.7 and 1.21.4 support. The other ones are either unsupported or at the end of life. So I'm going to use the 1.21.7 version. Just expand the assets right here and then download this file. If you're on Linux, you can just right click, copy the link, and then on your server type wget and then followed by the download link. Speaking of server, this is not a sponsored message. This is just my recommendation after having a 10-year Minecraft hosting experience. If you want a really cheap but really high value server that you can host literally anything on, my go-to is definitely Hetzner. Hetzner is a German-based company which also has servers in the US. And right here, if you go to their cloud service, you can get servers as cheap as $4.60 a month. And you get 2 shared CPU cores, 4 gigs of RAM, and 40 gigs of storage. This price to value is unmatched in my opinion. You can host any game or anything you want on this server, by the way. If you want a pure SMP server for like a few friends, let's say 5 friends, so you and 5 friends, total 6 players, this should be enough if you want a pure vanilla SMP experience. If you want something more like modded, for example, or like a really small minigame network, I would recommend going with this. If you want something more into minigame network, I would recommend going with this right here. If you want a server that actually has way more performance, because keep in mind these are shared CPU cores, you will in no way reach a really high performance with this, but this is definitely enough for Minecraft. If you want more power though, you can go to the server auction that Hetzner offers, and these prices and servers that you can get here is, in my opinion, unmatched. $35 a month for 64 gigs of RAM, a decent CPU, and a terabyte of storage. If we compare this to the cloud service again right here, the same value, you get less. You may get better CPU, but RAM, storage, and traffic, you get way less compared to this. If you want something really, really good, the same server that I am using, for example, I mean, look at this right here, also is 7700, just an upgrade for the same price, by the way, just like less storage. If you want a really good server that I can recommend, this is the same server I am using currently for my SMP Games network. Choose the EX44 out of their dedicated EX line. This right here has a i5 13500, which is a good CPU, 64 gigs, and a terabyte of storage. For $44 a month, this is an unmatched value. After I upgraded from the cloud service to this server right here, my server performance has increased by, I'm not gonna lie, 500%. And this is also a direct impact on your server's performance, on the tick rate that your server can achieve. So if you want raw power, go with this. No shared CPU cores, it's all yours. Now, to set up the server, after you have downloaded the server jar, in Linux, what I always want to do is a start file. So I'm going to create a new start.sh file. Another thing I highly recommend you to do is install Screen on your Linux server. This is so you can have multiple servers running at the same time, and you don't have to have the console open to have the server running, because that's like, just install Screen and all your problems will fade away instantly. Now to start the server, if you have Screen installed, you want to type screen dash capitalized S and then in quotations the screen name. So in my example, this would be coding server. If you don't have Screen installed and don't want to install it, you can keep this away. Next step that you have to do is put in your Java launch arguments. The most simple one is java.jar and then leaf.jar. I always like renaming the server jars to just leaf.jar or like spigot.jar or paper.jar, because then I don't have to edit the launch script the entire time. Another thing I'm going to add to the Java launch arguments is a XMX 2048M. This just limits the server to at maximum use 2 gigs of RAM. Now after doing this, you can save this. A lot of servers might have this issue if you want to start the server by using ./start.sh straight away. You will get a permission denied error. To fix this, you just have to type chmod 755 start.sh. This just gives read and write, or at least read permissions to the file, so your user can actually start the server now. Alright, upon the first server start, you will see that it will download the mojang.jar. This is just the libraries that the server needs to launch, which is downloading on the first start. After this, your server will instantly crash for the very first time. This is because you have to actually accept the EULA, the Minecraft EULA, which you can read through right here. So let me just put this from false to true. And I'm also going to tweak some server settings along the way. So for this, go to server properties, and I will explain a few things right here. Allow flight. I would only recommend enabling this if you're playing on a modded server, because if for example, on the mod pack you're playing, there is a jetpack mod, some players will get kicked if they're staying in the air for too long. So that's the only reason I would change this from false to true. Otherwise, if you keep this to true, people with hacked clients will easily be able to just fly around your server, which you definitely do not want. Difficulty, self-explanatory. Enforce whitelist. I'm going to pick up the whitelist topic in a bit, because that is also really important in my opinion. Force game mode and game mode. If you put this to true, and for example the game mode to creative, the players that will join your server will automatically be forced into that game mode. So if you want a creative server, you can put this to creative, force the game mode to true, and then the people will always join in creative mode. Let's see what else is here. Level name, self-explanatory, seed, type, oops. Max players. One cool thing, if you're hosting on Hetzner, you can just type any absurd number in here that is below the integer limit, and it will just take it. So let me just put, what did I put here? 2 million players. Let's just keep this. Max world size, self-explanatory. The MOTD is pretty much the message right here that gets displayed before you join the server. So for this, I'm going to type coding serious. So online mode, true or false. I would 100% always recommend you to keep this on true, except if you have like friends that have a cracked client of the version that can't afford the game, for example. If you put this to false, any player with any name can join. This includes your own opt player name. So keep this on true, because otherwise you are definitely going to run into an issue of players joining as your name and completely nuking the server whilst doing so. Prevent proxy connections. This is something if you have a bungee cord or a velocity server network running. There was a exploit in bungee cord a while ago, I don't know if that is still the case actually, where people on their local PC could host a bungee network and then as their sub-server declare one of your sub-servers, put their server on offline mode so they can choose any username they want and then connect to your server as any username they want. So you don't have to tweak this value at all, except if you have a bungee cord server. Resource pack, really big tip from me. If you want to force people to download resource pack before they can join the server, you can put this to true. But here is my tip. If you want to make the people require the usage of a resource pack, you need to put the direct download link right here and put the SHA-1 file sum of the jar file. Or of the zip file, I'm sorry. If you do not change this every time you update your resource pack on your server, on your file host or on your server, for example, the Minecraft client will not automatically re-download and apply your changes. You can easily generate this SHA-1 code using this site right here. Just search for file to SHA-1 on Google and go to the GitHub page of EMN178, but I'm also going to include the link into the description. And this will always output the SHA-1 code for you right here. Now, server IP, you don't have to really change if you're using the same IP as the server. Server name doesn't really need to be changed. Server port, I'm going to change for my part. If you keep this on 25565, it will just be the standard Minecraft port. But since that is used by my SMP game server already, by the way, stunter.dev if you want to join, I'm going to change this to 5432. Now, simulation distance and view distance. View distance is pretty much just the maximum render distance the server will actually render. And the simulation distance is in how many chunks away of the player the entities will have their AI enabled. So let's say you have this set on 6 and there's an entity in a 8 chunk radius, then this entity will not have their AI enabled. So spawn protection, the same is self-explanatory, but this is in blocks, not in chunks. And let's get back to the whitelist topic. If you're hosting a SMP server with your friends, 100% enable the whitelist. Trust me on this one. Because there's currently a huge amount of bots scanning the internet for open Minecraft servers that they can connect to. And griefers use these bots to find servers that are vulnerable. And if you have your whitelist disabled, you might find your server completely destroyed in a different day. So I would always remember putting this on true if you're hosting a private server that you just want to chill on with your friends. So yeah, now everything you have to do is just start the server after your changes has been applied and just wait until the server is started. This will not take long, but I will see you after the server has been started. Alright, now the server has been started, as you can see right here. So the only thing you need to do now is go to your multiplier list, go to add server. I'm going to call the server coding series right here, and enter your server address. For me, it would be stunter.dev, colon if you want to enter a specific port, and then 5432. So let me click on done. And as you can see right here is the server coding series with the 2 million player count we specified. And if we were to join the server now, you can see that we are not whitelisted on the server because I set the whitelist to true. So all you have to do now is either type whitelist add and then the player name, or you can also just OP and then the player name, which I'm going to do in this case. So if we connect to the server now again, you can see the server is up and running. And I'm also OP. I can put myself in a creative mode and fly around and check out our nice server spawn. Now, a few things about the server. If you want to actually code on the server and keep performance in mind, you can do /tps /ms/t or just simply /tps bar. This will always have this TPS bar at your top that will display you how laggy the server currently is. The server needs to reach a goal of 20 TPS, so 20 ticks per second, to stay as fluid as possible. Anything below will decrease the performance of and the experience for your players. 20 TPS is the equivalent of 50 ms per t, so milliseconds per tick. And if you're using Leaf, there is also a /Leaf TPS. Leaf ms per t. This right here is only enabled if you enable the per world tracking. So pretty much what this does, Leaf has a experimental function right now that makes every single world tick on their own, thus decreasing the overall lag of your server. And just like lagging separate worlds, if like, let's say the nether world is being hammered with wither skeleton farms or something like this, only this world would lag and all the other players in the other worlds will not even take notice of this. This is still experimental, according to the Leaf devs though, so some plugins might not work as expected, just keep that in mind. Now if you type /pl, you will notice nothing is here. So let's actually start creating the plugin. So for this I'm going to use IntelliJ, what I would highly recommend you to use as well. Also, if you go to plugins right here and you go to your marketplace, definitely get yourself the Minecraft development plugin. What this does, I'm going to show you real quick. If you go to create a new project right here, underneath generators, you have Minecraft. And this will just create a template structure for either modding, for plugin development, or for proxy development, this being Bungee Code or Velocity in this case. So for this tutorial, we're going to use plugin Paper. You can also choose Spigot. I'm going to use Paper this time. Just be aware that if you use a plugin or if you code a plugin for the Paper base, it will not be compatible with purely Spigot servers, because Paper has some function calls that the base Spigot API does not include. So if you want to make your plugin universally available for Spigot servers, use Spigot. And if you want it for only Paper servers and Paper forks, you want to use Paper. So I'm going to title this coding series. I'm going to use Maven as my build system, Java as a language, 1.21.6. We can change this later on. Sadly, the plugin is not updated so far right now. The main class is pretty much your path. People usually do their path as their website. So in my case, this would be dev.stunter.coding series, but I like doing just slp. Then the topic of your plugin. So this would be tutorial, for example, or like I'm just going to call it coding. Or if I were to do a minigame, this would be like a short abbreviation of the minigame. And then the main class is, for my case, always the project name. The Paper manifest you do not have to enable. This is still an experimental feature from Paper right now, which is pretty much its own Paper plugin.yml. This is also why the server plugins is split into bucket plugins and Paper plugins right here. For simplicity's sake, I'm not going to use this because, let's be honest, I have actually not used this either yet, so I don't even really know how this were to work. But yeah. Anyways, we're going to keep this disabled. Optional settings. This is for your plugin.yml. So description, this is a tutorial plugin. You as the author, if you have a website, you can link this here. And specify when the plugin should be loaded. If you specify this as startup, your plugin will load before the world has been generated and or loaded. If you put this as post world, the plugin will only enable after the world has been loaded. These right here are Maven built properties. So if you, for example, want to use this plugin as a base of another plugin, you would import it in your Maven by using this group ID, this artifact ID, and this version right here. So this is all looking good. Now we can create the plugin right here. And if everything is working well, you will have this right here, nothing being red, and you're ready to go. If this right here is red and this is red, so it can't find the Java plugin import, what helped me the first time was actually going to your POM XML pressing Control twice to open up this window and run maven clean install. I don't know why that helped me, it did. So maybe this will also help you if you run into the same issue as I did. This just cleans up the project again and just goes with it. Now, I want to change this right here from 121.6 to 121.7. If you do some changes to your POM XML file, always update it using the button right here or pressing Control, Shift, and O. This will just refresh your entire project and actually include the new dependencies and changes you have made to your XML file right here. Now, double check if you have under the resource folder the plugin.yml. If this is all here and it's pretty much looking like this, you're set to go. And you could export this plugin as is right now and it would already function. But I'm going to do two things real quick. So I'm going to get the console and send it a custom message that the plugin has been enabled. So what I'm going to do here is bucket.getConsoleSender. This just gets the console, and I'm going to send a message to this. One thing you will probably see is different from this to 1.17 is this right here, the component. This is something I'm going to go through in the next episode, because pretty much if I were to broadcast a message, for example, you can see entering a string is deprecated. This only works with the component system now. As I said, I'm going to go through this in depth in the next episode where we're going to do a custom join and leave event. And just for now, you can just get the console and send a message as you were also in the past. So what I'm going to do is paragraph A, paragraph L. This just makes it green and bold. If you want to know about the color codes, I'm going to leave this link in the description right here. So this just shows you all the color codes that are available in Minecraft that you can use. Minecraft also supports hex color codes already, but this you really can't do using a string. That is where the component system is really strong. I'm going to type coding series plugin has been enabled. And I'm going to copy paste this right here. Actually, let me just copy paste this twice. Let me just fill in 2 blank lines into console so this sticks out more. Let me copy paste this down here. Change the A to a 4 to make it bold, a bold dark red, and change this to disabled. All right, now if you want to export your plugin, all you have to do is click on Maven right here. If this does not show up right here, you might want to click on Add Maven Projects and just double click on your folder of the project. Check this, click this. And then if you want to actually compile the plugin to upload it to your server, just double click on Package. If you want to install it locally to your Maven directory, so you can use this in different projects as well, you want to use install right here. Alright, now you have 2 files in a newly generated target folder. The file you want to upload is the one without original and without shaded. So to upload the plugin, just go into your plugins folder, take the jar file, upload it, and on your server, the reload function changed a bit, so you can't just type /reload anymore. This only reloads the Minecraft achievements and stuff. You have to type /bucket::reload, or just restart your server, which is recommended anyways. And after that, type confirm. Now the server has been reloaded. If I were to type /pl now, you can see on the Bucket plugins, our plugin is actually showing up right now. Version 1.0, description and the author is all that we specified. And if I open up the console right now, you can see right here, the 2 spaces and coding series plugin has been enabled. If I were to reload this again, you can also see that the disabled message also gets sent. So our small code is working already perfectly fine. And that is everything you need to know on how to set up your very first plugin and how to host your own Minecraft server. So if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Next episode, we are going to go through the player join event and player quit event, which is going to release next Friday. So I want to try and upload every single Friday if possible, or maybe Fridays and Wednesdays if I have like an episode 2.1, for example. So yeah, that is everything for today. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I also hope to see you next time again. Goodbye.